Okay, so I will start a little bit in English and then I will do the introduction in Hebrew. So good evening, everybody. I'm very, very excited because I have an amazing guest today. So I will introduce her in Hebrew, אני אציג אותה בעברית, and then me and Dr. Terry Wallace will speak. So ערב טוב לכל חברי קהילת הבית לחולי טרשת נפוצה. הערב אני מתרגשת לארח לרגל יום הטרשת הבינלאומי את דוקטור טרי וואלס, אמריקאית, רופאה לרפואה פנימית, חוקרת קלינית, פרופסור לרפואה מאוניברסיטי אוף לואה. התפרסמה בעולם בעיקר בזכות עבודתה בתחום הטרשת הנפוצה, MS, ובזכות פרוטוקול התזונה שפיתחה המכונה The Wall's Protocol. We will talk about it. בשנת 2000 הובחנה וולס בעצמה עם טרשת נפוצה מסוג התקפי, הפוגתי, המצב שלה הלך והידרדר, היא הגיעה למתקדמת, היא סבלה מנכות, היא הגיעה לכיסא גלגלים במשך מספר שנים, ובעקבות המצב שלה החלה לחקור הכי עמוק שרק אפשר, על תזונה, על פעילות גופנית, על גירוי שרירים, על אורח חיים בריא, ועל כל זה נדבר היום. So Dr. Walls, it's really amazing that you spare your time and gave us your time and you are talking to our community, and it's a really, really big pleasure to host you today in our MS community in Israel. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So I'm drilling down. I have a lot of questions for you. In the last couple of years, I've been watching you on movies, on social media. So I have all kind of different questions, but my first question, I will take you back in time to 2000. The year was 2000, and I want to ask you, how did it start? How did you discover that you have multiple sclerosis, MS? What were your symptoms? What did you feel? What did you
Sure.
What did you say to yourself? What did you feel back then?
So in 2000, we'd noticed that the footfall between my left foot and my right foot was slightly different as we walked in the neighborhood. And Jack thought I should go see my physician. I brushed it off. She had us walk to the neighborhood ice cream store. So it was a 3-mile walk. By the time I got back, it was very clear I was struggling to lift my left leg. And so that got me to go see my physician. I ultimately ended up in a neurologist's office at the end of the day. And then that physician said, we're going to get an MRI of your back today to sort out if I have to admit you today or not. My spouse was in urgent care. I was supposed to go pick up the kids, and I said, well, I'm going to get an MRI. I may be getting admitted to the hospital. Can you figure out who should go pick up the kids, because it looks like I might be in the hospital. So I go get my MRI, and my physician says, well, we don't have to admit you. We're going to start doing the workup. It'll probably take a week or two to complete all of this stuff. And this could be bad or really, really, really bad. So for the next 2 weeks, I'm thinking about what does really, really, really bad look like? And will I be able to continue working? Will I become rapidly disabled? Do I have, and interestingly enough, at that point, I'm hoping for, if really, really bad, I want it to be rapidly fatal. I don't want to become disabled, unable to care for myself and be a financial burden. Now, at that time, I was still jogging. I was physically active. What I clearly had demonstrated is that something happened. So at rest, I didn't have any symptoms. But if I tried walking or jogging for a long time, then my left leg was not working as well. When I saw my neurologist as we're going through the workup, he says, Terry, I've looked back at your chart. 13 years earlier, you had an episode of dim vision in your left eye, which they worked up and never sorted out. I think that was an episode of optic neuritis. I also had trigeminal neuralgia, which he did not think was related to my current symptoms. And I, had an MRI of the brain. I had one lesion in my brain, one in my spinal cord, and oligobands in my spinal fluid. And then that episode of dim vision 13 years earlier. And so I was told that you have relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis. At that time, the options were taking an interferon or a Copaxone. The interferon was more potent, but it also causes more trouble with depression. And I've always had issues with depression since I was an adolescent. So I'm like, nope, not taking interferon, not making the depression worse. And so I did Copaxone. And over the next 3 years, I had one episode relapse with weakness of my right hand that was transient. And so that would have been considered a phenomenal success for taking a DMT because there were no relapses. The problem was, it was clear I was slowly getting worse. And so by that, and I'm now age 48, and so that is the time that people often transition from relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis to the secondary progressive multiple sclerosis, where there's no more relapses, but instead there's this slow progressive decline. So that's when I took mitoxantrone, which did not help. And then mitoxantrone was pulled from the market, so then I was placed in Novantrone, took several cycles of that, which did not help. And then I said, I was taken off that and put on Cellcept. And that's when I decided, you know what, I'm going to go back to reading the basic science because I'd agreed to stop reading about that when I was first diagnosed because it was just terribly upsetting reading like how rapidly people become disabled, lose their jobs. And that's when my spouse convinced me to stop that and just find the best MS center, let them take care of you, and that I would not read. Well, once I hit the wheelchair, like, you know what, I'm going back to reading because now I know how bad this is going to be, and it's really going to be bad.
So you decided to start to invest and, ask the question only when you go to the wheelchair, like when you go to the rock bottom and you told yourself, from here I can only, it can only get better. I need to improve myself. I need to cure myself.
Actually, I did not expect to get better. What I had been taught in medical school, what all of my neurology experts I'd seen had said, functions once lost will not come back. Now that you're in the progressive phase, it's only downhill. And I agreed to take really aggressive drugs to try and slow my decline. Because at this point, my hands still work, and that's really useful. My voice still works. That's really useful. I'm still mentally clear, so I can still staff the resident clinic. And so I did not expect that I would recover any function. I was doing all that I could to slow my decline.
When you take the decision to slow your decline, okay, it's only to slow your decline. So the decline will be, and you want to slow it, and to slow the process. But you did something else during those years. You practically changed everything. How did you do that? What did you think about? And in that period of time, was it easy to make such, big changes in your life?
My neurologist introduced me to the work of Ashton Embry, who was a group in Canada, and they had become aware of Lauren Cordain's work. And so I read his papers, looked at his books, and decided that there's a scientific rationale for the Paleolithic diet. So, and I'd been on basically the swank diet, a very low-fat vegetarian diet. And so I abandoned that, a lot of prayer and meditation, went back to eating meat. Well, that was a big deal. And, I continued to decline. And I was like, well, I don't know how long it would take for, 'cause there's no grain, no dairy, no legumes, meat and vegetables. And maybe, all I'm doing is just slowing my decline, and at least I'm doing something. The next year I'm in the tilt recline wheelchair. That's when I start reading more basic science models, specifically to multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. I decide that mitochondrial dysfunction is what's driving the disability. And I start focused on what are the supplements that help support better mitochondria. And so I take those supplements, and then I'm like, no, I think 6 months into this, I'm disgusted. It really hasn't helped, so I stop them. And 36 hours later, I just am so exhausted, I cannot get up out of bed to go to work. Another 36 hours later, my spouse comes in and Jackie says, honey, why don't you take these again? Yeah, and I do. The next morning, I can get back up, go to work. I'm back to my usual level of fatigue. And I think, well, that was super interesting. So 2 weeks later, I do the same thing. I stop all my mitochondrial supplements. 36 hours later, I am completely exhausted, can't go to work. I wait another 36 hours, and I start my supplements. And then the next morning, I can go back to work. So now I'm really actually quite excited, like, okay, I'm figuring something out. So maybe my supplements aren't going to fix me, but they're clearly doing something. So they must be slowing things down. So this is a good thing. I'm getting more excited about reading the basic science. By this time, I'm on the Institutional Review Board reviewing research studies. So I tell that committee, please give me studies related to the brain. So I'm doing more research protocols related to brain, neurologic and psychiatric diseases. I'm getting a little more comfortable reading these studies. And I'm slowly getting a longer list of supplements. But I'm getting, slowly worse. By July of 2007, I can no longer sit up. I have to be in a zero gravity chair with my knees higher than my nose. I can take a couple steps with 2 walking sticks. Otherwise, I'm in that tilt recline wheelchair. I begin to have some brain fog. And my trigeminal neuralgia, these electrical face pains that start at the temple, come down to my jaw, are more frequent and more severe. It's much more difficult to turn off. My boss at the VA hospital where I'm working calls me into his office to say, we're going to assign you to the traumatic brain injury clinic. You'll start in January. There'll be no residence. He describes what I'll be doing, examining these veterans, writing the notes, doing the primary care for them. I go home and tell Jackie, and she says, Terry, there's no way you can do that job physically. I say, well, come January, that's where I'm going. And either I can do the job or I can't, and then I'll have to apply for medical disability and hope that I can get it. So that's a very difficult time. But 2 weeks later, in my packet of research studies to review is a study using electrical stimulation of muscles in people who are paralyzed, who are never going to walk again. I read the protocol. I think that's really pretty interesting. Talk it over with Jackie, and I make an appointment with my physical therapist. And he agrees to test that protocol in me. So he hooks up the electrodes. It turns out to be really quite a painful experience. But when it's over, I'm feeling really good. And so we add electrical stimulation of muscles to my little tiny mat exercises that I'm doing. At that same time, a couple of weeks later, I discovered an organization called the Institute for Functional Medicine, and they have a course on neuroprotection. And I look at the faculty, they're Harvard-trained physicians, like, okay, no, this looks good. So I order the course. It's a PowerPoint, synchronized audio, a big notebook of cases, and I work my way through that. And I now have a longer list of supplements for my mitochondria. And I'm doing my little electrical stimulation, 10 minutes a day with my PT. And I go see my physical therapist a couple times a week, and we do sessions there. And then I have this aha, and I laugh at how long it took to have this aha. What if I redesign my Paleolithic diet to maximize in the food that I'm eating the nutrients that I'm taking by supplement? So I'll still taking the supplements, but I'll redesign my paleo diet. So it's now, it takes a couple more months of research to figure out where these nutrients are in the food supply. Now I have a list of foods that I should be stressing in my diet. They're all Paleolithic in nature. I start this new way of eating in December 26, 2007. Again, for your audience, I cannot sit up. I can take just a couple steps. I have brain fog. I have electrical face pains, trigeminal neuralgia. It's very clear to me I am on track to become bedridden by my illness because I'm already very close. Eventually demented by my illness. Eventually dying with intractable, horrific levels of pain. So I start this new way of eating December 26th. January 2nd, I go to this new clinic. The first 2 weeks, I just watch my new partners. The third week, I have to start examining the patients and doing the notes. And by the end of the week, I'm telling Jackie, I think I can do this. And by the way, can I sit in a regular chair for supper? So that's the first time I've done that in years.
Oh, wow.
And then by the end of February, I'm beginning to walk with walking sticks in the hospital, stunning my colleagues. And then in April, I'm walking with my walking sticks around the block. And I tell Jackie, I want to try riding my bike, which I've not done in probably 6 years. And she said, well, if things keep going well, maybe in the fall we can do that. Well, 2 weeks later, on Mother's Day, I really want to try riding my bike. And we have this emergency family meeting. My kids who are teenagers, they don't want me to do that because they're afraid I'd get hurt. But Jack decides that we can try. So she tells my 16-year-old son, who's 6'5", Zach, you run alongside on the left. My 13-year-old daughter, Zeb, she should run alongside on the right, and she'll follow. And I get on the bike, and in fact, I bike around the block. So we're all crying, that 16-year-old boy, he's crying, Zebby's crying, Jackie's crying, I'm crying. And that's when I understood that the current understanding of secondary progressive multiple sclerosis was incomplete. It was incorrect. And who knew how much recovery might be possible? So I kept biking. My physical therapist was advancing my exercises, advancing how much electrical stimulation I could do every day. And in October, Jackie signed us up for the Courage Ride, which was 18.5 miles. And I finished that ride too. So it was super interesting. My chief of staff and my chief of medicine at the university wanted me to to have me write up a case report with my medical team describing my recovery. And then they wanted me to do what's called a safety and feasibility study to test my protocol that I use for my recovery in others with progressive multiple sclerosis. See, could they do this very complicated regimen? And did we hurt them? So was it safe and feasible? And then what was the effect size for some patient-reported outcomes and clinical outcomes? And we're able to show that, yep, people could do it. Remarkably, they could really change their diet, add in the exercise, the meditations, and half of them had meaningful improvement in their walking function. And since that time, we've done now 8 clinical trials. I have another big trial that's happening right now, a 2-year intervention we'll have our last study visit probably in August. And so then we'll be data cleaning and analyzing our data and probably presenting it at scientific meetings in 2027. So very exciting times.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. What did you find out regarding those supplements? What did you find out regarding your own nutrition and the nutrition that other people?
Well,
What
let's
are the
talk first
basics
about,
that you find out?
I want to remind everyone that I took all these supplements and they certainly made a difference to my energy level. When I didn't take them, my fatigue was much worse. My mental clarity was much worse, but they didn't recover me. I did the electrical stimulation, and that has some really great evidence for people with spinal cord injury, never going to walk again. It reduces the harm of inactivity. It helps them with their blood sugar control. It's really, really great. And people should know that I'm a former athlete. So I did my electrical stimulation and exercises like an athlete. And worked with an athletic physical therapist who treated me like an athlete, gave me a very rigorous training schedule, which I kept up, and then I further amplified because that's just how I am. So I recovered remarkably well. It's the whole combination of the Paleolithic diet that's very structured, targeted supplements that are very helpful, a physical training program supervised by a physical therapist who treated me like an athlete with very clear training protocols, which I did. And we have been able to show other people who are just as disabled are also able to achieve remarkable success. We've had other folks who were even more disabled than I was, a little closer to the bedridden state than I was, also get their walking back and jogging slowly now. So yes, it can be done. It's not just me. People, there've been a variety of folks who've attacked me over the many years, saying that clearly my physicians were incompetent. I could not have had multiple sclerosis because you would not recover this level of function. And so I've been on other podcasts where people have, really attacked me. I'm like, okay, fine, but we'll discard me. Now I can go to my peer-reviewed published research where other neurologists have verified the diagnoses, whether it was progressive MS or relapsing remittent MS. We have used our intervention, followed them prospectively, and we've published our results. And we're able to show improving function, improving quality of life. Again, we had over 100 peer-reviewed published posters, abstracts, papers. And so we're able to show these concepts are safe, people can implement them, in that we have a large, it's certainly not 100%. There's no intervention that's ever 100% effective unless you're trying to create an intervention that kills people, then you can do that. But otherwise, if you have an intervention that helps 80% of the folks, that is a huge, phenomenal success. And that is what we report, that 75 to 85% of the folks in our interventions have favorable improvements in quality of life and clinical outcomes. That's extraordinary.
Quality of life is like a main goal, a main target of many, many people with MS disease. Do you think back then, years ago, that being an athlete, it was like a better way for you, state of mind, how you set yourself goals? I understand also that the environment sees you as an athlete and treat you as an athlete, but did you also see yourself as an athlete, with your strengths and with your abilities? Did you believe in yourself that you can walk or
Well,
wheelchair?
what I want everyone to understand is I did all of this not to get better because I knew I couldn't get better. I did all of this to slow my decline. I wanted, I'm a parent. I have young children, age 5 and 8, when I was first diagnosed. And I'm a farm kid, grew up on a farm. You did not complain, because if you complained, you got more chores. So we're very stoic. Life might be difficult, so what, you get up and do your chores. Life might be difficult, you have MS, so what, you get up and do all that you can. So my kids saw that I was doing my little exercises that I could do every day, no matter what. I put a pool in my home so I could swim, and then when I couldn't swim anymore, I did my aquatic exercises every day, no matter what. I'd adopted the paleo diet. I followed that, no complaint. And I was doing my electrical stimulation of muscles. My family knew that it was painful. So what? That was part of what I was told to do. So I did that. What everyone should know is part of my adaptation, and it's probably true for many, many with the chronic diseases, you let go of the future. You get to a point where I'll just take the next 24 hours as it unfolds. I have no expectations for the future. So that also meant, as I'm now recovering, I can sit up in a regular chair for the first time in years, but I only take that as 24 hours. I can walk with my walking sticks. Hadn't done that in years, but I'm only taking that as 24 hours. I'm walking around the block with my walking sticks, but I'm still only taking it as the next each 24 hours. I have no idea what this really means until I got on my bike. And I biked around the block. That was the day that I could see beyond 24 hours. That was the day that it's like, well, how much recovery might be possible? And so I biked a little bit every day. And it's like, I don't know how much recovery might be possible. But now I understood that I was recovering. And as you could tell, that's tears still come to my eyes, because that was so momentous. That transition from thinking, I don't know what this means, to I know what this means. It means that no one knows how much recovery might be possible. And I'm going to keep training every day, and we will see. And what your audience should know is I can now jog 24 minutes on my treadmill, slowly, yes. I was jogging in the neighborhood a couple miles. I stumbled, fell, broke my wrist, and my neurologist said, Terry, it's wonderful that you're jogging, but would you please just jog in your treadmill? I don't want you to stumble. Because it was really hard for me to have judgment as to when to stop, because I really loved jogging, and it was just so wonderful to be jogging in the neighborhood, having the sun and the breeze. But I agreed, so I jog on my treadmill now. We'll make do with that.
In the last many years, in the last decade, in the last 10 years, you are working with MS people
Yes.
through research, and you meet them, and a lot of meeting with, or knowing about MS people. Do you think that do you see the moments that they have, exactly the moment that you are, like so involved in and so emotional
Well,
about it, that they understand the change that you made, and they understand the change that is going to be on their life? Do you feel that,
you know,
through
I,
the research?
I think what is super interesting, when I first started talking about my experience publicly, back in 2008, 2009, the National MS Society and the neurology community and many in the MS community thought I was dangerous. I was condemned, I was banned, and there was a lot of really hostile, terrible things said about me. My chief of staff and my mentor, Paul, Rothman at the university said, Terry, just go where you're invited. Do your research, publish it. It's going to be really hard to get that first paper published. It'll get progressively easier, but just go where you're invited. And so I've done that. And that first paper, it took us almost 3 years to find a journal that would take it because it's such a radical new thing that we had done. But we've steadily been able to get our papers into gradually more prestigious journals. Our research is cited now thousands of times by others. When I go to the Consortium of MS Multiple Sclerosis Centers, it's a big international meeting with clinicians, with scientists. My research is quoted. My books are quoted. The scientists and the clinicians are stopping me, asking for selfies with me because, my patients would so love this, so appreciate this. So I've gone from this dangerous villain to someone who is now celebrated because in the MS community, people recognize that I drove interest in wellness, interest in nutrition, exercise, meditation, the whole concept of wellness, that, it's fine to take disease-modifying treatments. They can be very, very helpful. Just as important is, what are you eating? Are you exercising? Are you taking care of your sleep? What's the nature of your relationships? Do you have a stress management practice? So it's all the modifiable lifestyle factors which had been ignored until I came along. More and more, the clinicians are saying, yes, that is important. Now, they don't have enough time in their visits to talk about that because they want to cover the risks and benefits of the latest disease-modifying treatment. But hopefully, they're also saying, the modifiable lifestyle factors really matter, so we need to help you learn how to have a better diet, take care of your sleep, exercise. Hopefully everyone's getting a referral to physical therapy to get an exercise program going. And, you can pick a diet that you want to explore, whether it's the modified Paleolithic diet that I teach, the Swank diet, the Mediterranean diet, the ketogenic diet, but have some nutrient-dense diet that you're going to follow, and quit eating all that sugar and all that white flour junk. That's really killing you.
Well, when did you first saw or understand that you becoming an inspiration for people, also for us in Israel, in our association? When did you understand that what you are doing for your own life and the research that you are doing can help many and many and many more and more and more people around the world that they have MS disease?
In November 11th, 2011, I gave that TEDx talk that went viral really very quickly. It became a huge thorn in the side to the MS community because that meant so many people around the world were going, wait, what about that doctor in Iowa? But that viral TED Talk led to a book deal, which let me write a book, The Wall's Protocol, which came out in 2014, which was a bestseller, which then, again, was a real thorn in the side for the MS community and the MS specialists. But the public, all of you guys listening to this, the donors reached out to the MS Society and said, and this is super interesting, the MS Society tracks social media to know what their constituents are talking about. Well, what happened is that first 3 months from March to July, all of the conversation about the Wall's Protocol, Dr. Terry Wahls, the Paleolithic diet, completely swamped all the conversation about everything else in the MS community. And the donors said, we want a wellness conference and we want Wahls there. So the MS Society tracked me down, got me on the phone, and told me they wanted me to come to their wellness conference, gave me the dates. I said, well, there's two issues. One is I'm a plenary speaker at a conference in New York on that same date, so I have to talk with them to see if they could adjust the date that I'm speaking. And then second, I'm a banned speaker by you guys. So I'm not coming to any of your conferences until I have in writing I'm no longer banned.
You got it in writing? They send it in writing?
Well, it took 20 minutes to get the email back with official from the head of the MS Society. I was no longer banned, and I was invited to attend the wellness conference.
Amazing.
So the other conference graciously agreed to adjust my speaking day. I go show up. There's 45 people who are patient MS advocates, 45 scientists. So I was sort of a twofer, so I walk in, and the 45 patient advocates all have copies of my book, and they're asking me to sign. So I stop and I sign all their books. And I'm thinking, man, this must be really annoying, the scientists. Then they have the president or chief executive officer is presenting the social media and talks about the social media that was all about the latest disease modifying treatments until March 14th when my book came out. And then that completely disappeared. In the next 3 months, all the social media was about basically the Well's protocol, the paleo diet, and Dr. Terry Wahls. So she sat to my table, and said, now you know why you're here. So the upshot of that meeting was they agreed to make diet, wellness, exercise, stress management a research priority. And they told me that they wanted me to submit a proposal comparing the Swank diet and the Wahls diet. So we did that. They gave us $1 million to investigate that. So that was a landmark study. And now I should also say, because my work has really influenced the lives of some people with MS, who really believe in the research that I'm doing, who have given our lab millions of dollars to allow us to basically do these 8 clinical trials, and have funded the study that I'm doing now, which compares the modified Paleolithic diet, ketogenic diet, and usual diet over a 2-year period. And we'll have MRIs. We have a lot of patient-reported outcomes, clinical outcomes, and then changes in brain structure as well. It's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, a lot of excitement. And in the last couple of years, I've been watching I said it from in the beginning, I see you in the social media, and I like a lot what I see. I see you, on the snow in your backyard, and I see you go inside the sauna, and I'm very, very curious. And my members of the community also are very, very curious. What is a typical day in Dr. Terry Wahls?
Well, okay.
Typical day for morning, or the hour that you are getting, you're getting up, and until you are getting, go to sleep. What do you do? What do you?
So what do I do? So this morning, I managed to wake up at 6 a.m. and I thought, I think I could get a little more sleep in. So I slept another hour. So that was actually pretty exciting. So I slept until 7. Then I got up and I went downstairs on my inversion table because I have scoliosis, which is actually very common for people with MS. If you get asymmetry in your back muscles, then you end up with scoliosis. My physical therapist and spine doc said, invert half an hour every day, it'll decrease that. So I did that. Then the next 45 minutes, I do my strength training and balance training. I did that with blood flow restriction bands, so I don't have to have such as heavier weights. But when you add the blood flow restriction bands, then you get the combination of strength training and high intensity interval training, because that makes it so much harder. Then I come up and I do my stretching exercises. And so then that gets me, I take a shower. So that got me to where I am now with you, doing my interviews with you. I'll have interviews and meetings with my scientific research team. We're working on a grant that will get submitted tomorrow. This evening, I will teach to my tribe. Where I have a 4 lecture series that we're doing on what I've learned in the last year from A4M, the Merit Academy of Anti-Aging, and the Institute for Functional Medicine. And then I'll have supper, which, by the way, is
only supper? Once a day? Only supper?
Once a day. I have meals once a day. And then I will, again, perhaps watch some Caitlin Clark this evening. We're big women's basketball fans, so if she's playing, we'll indulge in watching that game, and then I would go to bed. Then tomorrow, I would get up, do my inversions, and I would probably jog on my treadmill, 24 minutes, 25 minutes. I'll do some jump training as well. That's a great way to get your bone density back up. And then I would be doing some development of additional educational resources. I'll probably have some more meetings, more podcasts, etc. And I know I have a couple lectures late afternoon, so I'll probably have my daughter make supper on Tuesday for me. She's been, and actually, I'm very excited. I recently discovered that I can eat eggs again. So I'll probably have her make one of her egg pies for us, which are super delicious. And we have in our garden, mustard greens are coming in, so we'll have probably some cooked mustard greens with supper tomorrow night as well. So my routine is you get up, I do my physical care routines. Ideally, I get a sauna in 2 to 5 days a week. I like taking saunas a lot. For the audience, if temperature stress, whether it's heat or cold, induces symptoms, then you can't be doing that. We don't want you doing heat or cold stress that makes your symptoms worse. You'd have to have a little more recovery first before we can do that kind of stress for you.
The workout that you do in the morning, do you feel more energetic after that for the whole day? Does it give you like more energy, or you feel fatigued during the day, or you don't have the typical fatigue?
Exercise is a very successful intervention for improving energy, reducing fatigue. There is an art, and you may have to work with a physical therapist to help you dose the amount of exercise that you can do so that you are back to your usual level of energy within 2 hours. And so your physical therapist will help you figure out what they think is that starting dose. And hopefully they pick the right dose. Sometimes they overshoot. You have to bring things back. But exercise can be very, very helpful for fatigue. You have to be work closely with someone who can help you as you begin exercising, because if we overshoot and give you too big of a dose, you will lose ground as opposed to increasing ground. So it's mild to moderate stress from which you can fully recover before being stressed again. Now, ever since I was a little girl, I grew up on the farm. You got up at 5 or 5:30 and you did your morning chores before going off to school. When I went off to college, I got up at 5 or 5:30 and I did my workouts and then my academic work. And, during medical school and residency, even if I was not on a surgery rotation, I got up at 5 or 5:30. So now that I am working part-time for the university, I don't have to get up at 5. I can sometimes sleep into 6 or 7 and then do my workouts.
You indulge yourself more and more in the morning.
Yes.
Early
yes.
in the morning.
I've always found that if you and it's true for most of my patients, if you do your workout first thing in the morning, it happens. If you don't do it first thing in the morning, other things come up in your life and it becomes much harder to get your self-care and workout in.
What do you know today about the balance between the diet and the nutrition and the exercise, which is more important? Do they go together all the time, because sometimes people put more intention about like diet and less exercise, or more about exercise and less diet.
And I'm also going to tell you social connection is really profoundly important as well. And so there was a time I was very rigid that you got to fix your diet first and then you start working on everything else. I'm much more flexible about this now. Now I sit down and I'll ask people, do you want a big comprehensive plan that covers everything? Do we need a smaller step-by-step plan that you can experience success with and gradually build on? And then then I also ask, in what domain do you want to work on first? Diet, stress, social connection, exercise, purpose and meaning. And if people don't have a clear sense of purpose and meaning, why they want to be doing this, it's very hard to be successful. I generally send those folks to talk therapy. And a question that can be super helpful is that if you imagined smoke rolling out of the windows of your home, who would you run in to save, even barefoot over broken glass, without thinking? And for most people, they know immediately who that is. Their grandchildren, their children, their spouse, their parent, their dog, their cat. There's usually many someones that they would run in to save. Then the next question I like to ask is, if your health improved just a little bit, what would you like to be doing again with that person that you can't do now? And now we have a goal that matters to them. Then I can follow up with, okay, if we're going to work on these modifiable lifestyle factors, what domain do you want to start on first? And do you want a big comprehensive plan, or should we start with a small, achievable next step? And if people are the ones guiding the intensity of the effort they're going to do and where they're going to make their efforts, then they'll be successful. If I'm the one saying, you got to do the modified paleo diet, and you have to do an exercise program, but their heart's not in it, they will not make any progress.
You know that we are broadcasting from Israel, and Israel in the last couple of years had wars, and before that had COVID and a lot of stress around us. What do you know today in your life, and also the people around you, and the people also in your work that you met about stress management? How much is it important? How energy do we need to put on that? How much thinking and knowledge and I don't know will we need to
Well,
understand that it's important?
I'm sure your audience is aware that there's a lot of conflict here in the United States as well, that there's a great deal of stress and division, political strife, and the more recent economic struggles that people are experiencing. That is a huge driver of inflammation. When we have these economic struggles, we have these political struggles, we may have struggles within your family because members of your family have very differing world viewpoints. That creates enormous strife. Finding a way, so I think there are, my advice is, you still want to find a way to have joy in your life, things that you can cherish and savor. In my case, I'm a grandmother now. So what I can so look forward to seeing my grandson and showing the blueberries that are coming ripe. And he was so excited to pick blueberries off our blueberry bushes and savoring that moment with him. So finding moments of joy that are still health supportive. We're not talking about the joy from doing substance abuse. We're talking about joy from connect that you can share with others by connecting with people that you love. So be in touch with that joy. Be in touch with the social connections with people that you love and cherish, which can be extended family, it can be neighbors, it can be part of your religious community, it can be part of your Pilates or yoga community. We know that having this deep social connection turns out to be even more protective than having a great diet, regular exercise, not smoking, and not drinking alcohol. So that is one of my strongest advice now to people is find reasons to celebrate joy and connection with people that matter to you. As you do that, then look for ways that you can improve your nutrition, improve your stress management practice, whether that is something like the box breathing, 4-7-8 breath work, sitting outside and savoring the moments in the meadow, in your forest, savoring the moments with your children or your grandchildren as they discover the world.
When you felt better and better and better during those years, did you also, or maybe today, or maybe not, do you also from time to time like do MRI just to see that,
Well,
there is
so
no something new
so
and
so what's going on? Yes, I do see my neurologist, and we count how many push-ups I can do, so that's pretty fun. And then we'll practically do the MRIs. And what I want people to know is, as you develop MS, you have lesions that come and go. Lesions that are there longer than 2 years are probably going to stay. Lesions less than 2 years old, as you improve your diet and self-care, those will probably disappear. The other big marker is your brain getting smaller or not? Is your hippocampus getting smaller or not? And unfortunately, those of us with MS, our brains are getting smaller at about 3 times the rate of healthy aging. And one of the big things that I look forward to seeing in our study is, are we able to get people to healthy rates of aging as they implement our diets? And I'm certainly very hopeful that that will be the case. So I'm not having new lesions. My brain is still nice and plump. My neurologist is, very pleased with how things are going. In the fact that, I'm still doing 15 push-ups. I'm getting stronger. Although, I'm now 70. We'll see. I think of Linus Pauling, who, when he was 92, was still giving lectures to standing room only audiences. That's, what I'm visualizing, that I'll still be doing research, still doing lectures, still touching the lives of clinicians, of scientists, and of the public, that, yep, there's a lot that we can do that will change the trajectory of our health.
amazing. When you see your journey, okay, your self journey, what like Dr. Terry Walls today can say to Dr. Terry Walls when she was younger and was just diagnosed with MS and she was on a wheelchair? What can you tell her back then that now, that from these years and you live by it? Because for me, you are walk the talk. You live and you speak and you eat the way you believe in, and it's an amazing inspiration for all of us to walk the talk for people with MS.
Do not give up. Know that there is so much that you can do that will change the trajectory of your health for yourself and for others. And the best hero's journey is one where success is not guaranteed, but you're still going to be willing to be in the fight, advocating for the future for yourself and for your family.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I want to tell that it was an honor. It was an honor to talk to
Well,
you and to interview you.
now,
And
before I go, can I ask people, please follow me on Instagram at Dr. Dr. Terry Walls
I will
and
put
go to
them the
my,
link. I will show
yep.
them the link, and then what do you see? You will see amazing stuff when you will watch
Yeah,
her
well,
Instagram.
yeah, follow me. You get to see what I'm eating and doing. Go to my website, terrywalls.com. Sign up for the newsletter so you can hear about our free trainings that we have. We usually have something every month because I want you to learn. There's so much that you can do, and you can learn if you're a clinician, you can learn if you're a patient, you can absolutely be empowered.
When did you decide to be an open book by social media? Because from social media, we can know a lot of stuff about you.
Yes. Well, I want people to have hope.
Amazing, amazing. First of all, it was an honor, really, truly an honor on behalf of the House of the MS Association in Israel, and also our CEO of the association, Irit Luzon, says thank you for being here and for talking to us, to our community. It was a, a great pleasure to host you. And good luck with all of the researches. We will still, see you and read about you and watch everything that you do.
All
And
right.
hope in 2, 3 years again, we will talk again about new stuff. And thank you very, very, very much from the all of us.
You're welcome. Bye bye now.
Bye. Bye bye.